So, what do I have to do to prove that I'm real? Do I have to put the phone in the refrigerator and record? Or do I turn this camera and show you my dog, Teddy? Hi, Teddy. Do I have to go for a walk out my front door? Do I take you for a walk out the front? And I point at the exact spot where I collapsed on my front lawn in 2020? We're going to come up with a way to prove that I'm real. So less than a week ago, I posted this video right here, and I expressed my real concerns that me doing these videos, talking to the camera one-on-one on YouTube, I expressed that I'm worried people will not think that I'm real because I'm getting comments asking me if I'm AI, telling me he's AI, he's not real. And in that last video, I was questioning, should I even keep doing this channel where I offer life lessons that I've learned since I had my near-death experience in 2020? Because the way that AI is advancing so rapidly, and it's harder and harder to tell each day, each week, each month, what's real, like what you're seeing is real and what's not real on TV, on your computer. It makes me wonder, me doing these videos, is this going to become obsolete? So I have to say, first off, the comments I received in that video, amazing. I heard from so many of you, and that means the world to me. But there was one person who flat out said I wasn't real. And before you know it, a conversation ensued, and there was this back and forth of me replying and trying to almost convince this person that I was real. And then another person ended up replying to that person's comment to say, yes, this guy's not real, and you can tell because of this, this, and this. But then he wrote, edit, I just watched one of his other videos and he unrolls a paper, which that paper, by the way, was an EKG printout from the day that I survived the cardiac arrest. It was the printout of my heart rhythm when I was going into cardiac arrest right there on my front lawn. The paramedics gave that to me as like a keepsake when I met them a few years later. It was like a meet your hero day. So this whole conversation ensued, and part of me was kind of thinking this is hilarious, but then it sort of further validated why I'm concerned in the first place that I'm making these videos where I just talk to the camera. And with the advent of how fast AI, how rapidly AI is advancing, rather, it's scary because you further and further, you can't tell, or should I say more and more, you can't tell what's real and what's not. So that was the point of my video. It was off the cuff. And I really want to know, is what I'm doing here pointless? But then in those comments, which again, I can't express to you how much I appreciate it. There was a woman, I think in the first couple of days, and she posted this comment right here. This means the world to me when I see this. This comment right here is the reason why I keep going. And I told her in a reply, like, you have no idea how much this comment meant to me. And so I wanted to do this follow-up message because that video got a lot of traction. I had been struggling on YouTube here and getting less and less views. So I wanted to do this follow-up to that off-the-cuff video. And this is another one. I have no script. And the fact is, I appreciate the comments and I appreciate for those of you who say that the life lessons that I offer when I talk about how time is infinite and we have to value what we do with our time. That's just one big one, for example. When I talk about those things, some of you guys really are hearing the message. But at the end of the day, others are going to think that I'm AI, and I'm trying to come up with unique ways to prove that I'm not. And that's why I did this funny thing at the beginning with having the phone in the refrigerator and taking you for a walk right out my front door in real time. So I just felt that I wanted to do a follow-up to thank everybody who came to that video, new subscribers that jumped in. And I want to thank my existing subscribers and followers that have been with me for a long time, many months, some of you over a year, when I talked more about my heart problems, but I don't really get into that stuff anymore. So I do want to thank everybody. But at the end of the day, I do have to remind myself sometimes why I keep doing this. Why do I want to keep putting myself out there on YouTube, out there for the world to see? And I feel I do have valid messages to share coming from a person who dropped dead on his front lawn and I was in a coma. I was life support. I was in the hospital almost 2 weeks. And this was in 2020, all right before COVID hit. And I'm not saying I'm some expert and you have to listen to me. And it's nothing like that. But I really did face death. And that really puts a perspective on your mind. It really puts you into a different mindset. And you start to really zero in on, where am I wasting my time? And focusing on the present moment. So it really sets you into a place where you can look and analyze your life in a positive way, not in a negative way that's going to drive you down, but in a way that you can see where you're focusing your time and your strengths. And if it's things that don't serve you, to let those things go. So those are the messages I want to send. But I do legitimately feel that if I get comments where people don't think I'm real, I have to ask, like, how much longer can I do this to the point where people start to think, okay, that's just a computer generated person. That's not a real guy. And I'm not going to listen to him anymore. So I want to keep putting these out for as long as you guys believe I'm real, if that makes sense. And we'll see where this goes. We'll see what YouTube does with AI content. If they're going to somehow work it in a way where YouTube does something with AI content that somehow allows human people to realize that us that are still doing this, that are humans, not faceless AI generated channels, that we are real, where I don't have to sit there and basically do a dance in front of the camera to prove to you that I'm real. And even that can be replicated. That's the whole reason why I talked about that in the first video. I'm not against AI. I'm using it on a regular basis. So I just think we have to find a way to work with it, not against it. But how can I keep doing these talking head videos, but you guys know that I'm real? And a funny note about that before I go is that in that conversation with that guy that kept saying I'm not real, there's another guy who I told you who jumped in and then ultimately said I was. Well, I kind of said, like, what do I have to do? And I think one of the two guys said, I'm too still in front of the camera and I need to be more animated. Well, I laughed when I read that because I'm half Italian and I talk with my hands. I'm always doing these movements and I thought I was pretty animated. I didn't think I was talking like this. And this is how I think an AI generated person would talk. Like, I felt I was being very vocal and animated with my expressions. And I know I talk fast and maybe it's my editing software. I don't know, but I find it comical and scary that people still think I'm not real. So I hope that this video can express some type of real and open and honesty to you guys, but not to joke around. I want to try to prove with that opening sequence that I am real. So if this connected with you, please let me know in the comments. What are your thoughts? What do you think we should do when it comes to how do we work with AI? Do you think people doing these videos like this, which we call talking head videos, do you think that these are going to get to the point where it's going to be pointless, which goes to my video I put out a week ago? I just want to hear what you guys think. And again, not an anti-AI rant. I absolutely use it on a regular basis. I think there's lots of utility in it. I can't lie and say I'm not nervous, not just because of my videos on what it's going to do for the world. I just have to wonder where it's going and how powerful it's going to get. And should we be concerned? Those are things that I really think about. But I do want to thank you for being here. Thank you to those who have followed me all along, to my new subscribers recently. I hope I can share content that reaches out to everybody and inspires you in some way. Maybe you're thinking of, making a big decision in your life or starting a venture or something. I hope that this inspires you somehow. And you don't have to have a near-death experience for you to feel motivated to do things. I just want you to know that I consider myself lucky to be here, and I'm using the second chance that I've received in life to share messages of insight with you. If the person who said those comments that I wasn't real sees this video, if you actually subscribe to me, I'm not sure, but put a shout out in the comments below on this one. I blurred out your name if you didn't notice, so I'm not trying to center you out. I just think it's hilarious. But at the same time, we have to be mindful of where AI is going. Thank you so much for listening. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.